Yes, we are continuing with the performance task 4. The topic is cyberbullying, and this is the second part of the video. The speaker will talk about the first aspect of cyberbullying. So let's listen and follow my note taking.
The first one is harassment. Okay, let me spell that for you. Harassment. Right, harassment. Basically, harassment is the act of repeatedly sending offensive messages to an individual. This means that the bully repeatedly sends rude, insulting, and even threatening messages to the individual. It's tragic that this is so easy to do. Email and instant messaging are favorites among cyberbullies for harassment purposes. Many cyberbullies use a false.
Okay, the first part. As you heard, the discourse marker here is the first one, and after this, the first most common aspect of cyberbullying is heard. So it's the topic of this paragraph actually, harassment. And then we have let me spell that for you, which means there will be a spelling, and when there is a spelling in the audio, this means that you have to write the word correctly. Otherwise, you lose points from that. So even if you cannot write it in the first place, after the listening, after the spelling, you can correct your notes as I did. You see here, I got the wrong spelling, but then I corrected it. Then we heard the word basically, which means mainly. And after that, we have an explanation again about harassment. Remember, after explanations, there is usually a restatement of the same explanation. In other words, the idea is repeated again so that you can take notes better, or you can correct the mistakes in your notes or complete your missing notes, as I did here. Look, instead of writing harassment, I only wrote H to save time. And I noted the first part of the definition of the explanation is an act of repeatedly sending messages. Here at this point, I missed the audio. I couldn't hear what the lady said, the speaker said. So after hearing, this means that I was feeling safe, because I know that after this discourse marker, there will be a repetition of the explanation made in the previous sentence. So this means that the bully repeatedly sends rude, insulting, and even threatening messages. So here, offensive messages, I couldn't write that, as you see, is explained here, is restated here as rude, insulting, and even threatening. So that's what I got here. And again, when I combine these two, here is my correct explanation, which I can include in my essay. Then we are given two ideas, email and instant messaging, as the favorites of cyberbullies to use this purpose, to be used in cyberbullying purposes. Yes, when the speaker talks about a purpose, aim, goal, they are also important to note them, to be noted and to be included in your essay. So, but sometimes they are optional. So don't worry if you miss them, but try to include it in your notes. Right, now the next item.
Many cyberbullies use a false identity while harassing the victim. And this brings me to the second common type of cyberbullying, impersonation. Right, impersonation, impersonation. This means pretending to be someone else. I mean, it's a situation where a cyberbully creates a fake identity to harass someone. A cyberbully can create a name similar to the victim's and then go online pretending to be the victim. In this way, the cyberbully can chat with the victim's friends and even set up social accounts in the victim's name. These are examples of impersonation. Okay.
Right. To be honest, in this part, I wasn't able to follow the speaker efficiently, and my notes are terrible. But don't worry, in such situations, it happens because, as I will explain, you will see how you can actually make sense of your notes that are not complete. So, yeah, here is the discourse marker. This brings me to the second common type of cyberbullying, impersonation. And then we are given another spelling. So I guess it's easy to spell it, write it correctly. And then another important discourse marker, this means. Now, impersonation means. Here we have an explanation. Pretending to be someone else. Okay, I got it here correctly. And later, the discourse marker, I mean, tells us that there will be a clarification. Yani, the speaker will restate, retell, clarify what she means by this sentence, by pretending to be someone else. So, what does it mean? What does she mean? It is a situation where a cyberbully creates a fake identity to harass someone. Now, here at this point, my notes are missing. But, as I told you, here, this part is a restatement. So, you don't have to write it if you could write the first part correctly. Therefore, only this part here in my notes is okay. I don't need to worry about this one, right? I can just delete it. So this is my definition. And then, as we learn at the end of the paragraph of the audio, let's say, these are examples. What are the examples? Well, creating a similar name, pretending to be the victim, chatting with victim's friends, set up social accounts. So there are many examples given. You don't have to write all the examples. One or maybe two will be enough. So don't worry if you can't catch up with the speaker. As you see, I only wrote setup and go online pretending to be the victim. So if you forget what the speaker said after setup, just ignore it and write this one as an example. Right? That will be enough. Or maybe you can give it an example with your own words if you understand what this means. Next part now.
Let's get on with the third common type of cyberbullying, outing. Outing is when a bully shares someone's personal information online without permission. What I mean is, the cyberbully reveals embarrassing information about a person, embarrassing photos, videos, or texts. As the name suggests, the victim is outed when his or her personal information is distributed on online platforms by the cyberbully.
Yeah, this one was very short. So the third one was outing, and here is the discourse marker. Let's get on. Let's continue with the third common type. So you need to note this down, outing. And here there is no spelling given, and outing is a strange word actually, so you might not write it down correctly. Don't worry, because when there is no spelling given, it means that you may be tolerated. Okay, I mean the wrong spelling may be tolerated if it's not in a very bad situation. So don't worry if you got it wrong. If you got one letter or two letter wrong, don't worry. Just focus on listening, okay? Outing is when. Now this structure here, noun is when, gives us definition. So here from this structure we understand that there will be an explanation coming. And as you see, a bully shares someone's personal information online without permission is the definition of outing. Then we have what I mean is. So as you have learned by now, again we have the restatement coming. Restatement of this sentence coming here. So if you couldn't take notes at this moment, you can complete or take your notes here in this part. Looking at my notes, I think it was okay. I wrote this bully share info online. As you see, I try to write as short as possible, but when I will transform them into my essay, I will write the names as they are. Just in case, I also added some info from the restatement sentence. So reveal embarrassing information like photos. You can include this as an example, but